We are at Old Bahama Bay Resort on Grand Bahamas Island. We've got the whole Jackson Kayak fishing crew out here with us, fishing with a bunch of different guys, doing fly fishing, conventional fishing, chasing all kinds of fish.
The reason that I came here was for the bonefish. It's supposed to have an amazing bone fishery, a lot of sight fishing, shallow flats, coral, pulling around in like less than a foot of water, waiting for the tides to move, and you find these like really shallow bonefish that are very aggressive, big patterns, 8 weights, 9 weights, a lot of big barracuda, like 3 and 4 foot barracuda on a fly rod.
And let me tell you, this is one of the most beautiful places I think I've ever been in my life. The thing that sets this apart from pretty much anywhere else in the world is that on one side here on the island, you have bonefish flats for days. And on the other side, it literally is 600 to 1,000 feet deep within sight of land.
Well, right off the shore, you can decide to go spear fishing, snorkeling, deep sea fishing. You're looking at catching wahoo, dolphin, mutton snapper. You can go down conch diving, you can go lobster diving, and that's right offshore from the resort.
So today I've got Drew Ross with me, one of the Jackson Kayak fishing team members. He is a very, very experienced fly angler, so he's gonna be giving me some tips on fly angling. We've got a long paddle in front of us today. We decided to kind of go on a mission, start down here. We got dropped off way away from the lodge and we're gonna be heading back down there. And hopefully Drew and I can get on some fish, some bonefish, some permit, or anything else that wants to bite, right?
Yes, anything on the fly.
What have you seen out here?
Seen some bonefish, lots of bonefish actually, some triggerfish, caught a cuda yesterday, so there's a lot of fish out here.
Heard there was some big permit down at the end.
Yeah, there's a room and there's some big permit, so.
We've got a shot at some good fish, so.
Yeah, we're excited.
Stick around, we're gonna have some fun.
So you're gonna have deep, deep water here. And then it comes around, once you make the bend around the point, then you can hug the shoreline and it'll be a little shallower there. And you can follow in from there. Just be careful because the current out there on that tip can be pretty strong.
The plan was to do some fly fishing, to work the inshore, so I brought a fly rod and a bait caster. Probably made the wrong decision on what we did because the wind had changed direction and now it was blowing into a place that was sheltered the day before. And so basically what we ended up doing was doing kind of a marathon paddle. But that's always cool. And then we found some areas where we caught some fish. I caught a triggerfish. And then of course, while I'm fighting the triggerfish, I see 2 tarpon swim by. I went out to the end of this jetty. We've seen triggerfish in more turbulent water. So I went out to the end of it and I saw one just sitting right up on the shelf. And I threw the cranky crab up there and he eyeballed it, kind of followed it really slowly, and then just picked it up and set the hook, and then it was kind of off to the races, but all around the rocks on the end of the jetty. So I was having to kind of deal with that, keep him out of the rocks and keep myself out of the rocks. Nice big triggerfish. So they're a sporty fish. These things really pull hard. You know, on this lighter tackle like this, on kind of basically a bass rod. Oh, look at those 2 big barracuda right there. Look at the size. Are those tarpon? Or are those just huge barracuda? Woo! Haven't seen anything all morning, really. Of course, while I'm fighting this, we see 2 nice-sized tarpons swim by. Come on. Nice big triggerfish on the cranky crab. Super fun fight around the rocks and in the surf. That was just really, really fun. Whew. That is a big trigger, man. They're actually quite delicious. They make great ceviche. But we're letting these guys go. Once I can figure out how to get that crab out of his mouth, because he's got all the hooks in him, of course. There we go. Let's get this guy back in the water. He swam right away. Man, that was fun. That was super fun right there. Whew. Now let's see if we can find those tarpon.
Found some structure with some fish on it, so tossed up there between the two structures, let it sink, and just watched my floating line, and I saw it tick and had to eat. Nice little fight for a little fish. You know what that is? I don't know either. My first whatever it was, I'm not sure. Good little fight. Okay. Don't break me off. Oh, no. Here's the fly right here, magical kelp fly. Kind of like a bonefish Charlie pattern with a lot of pink on it, but it's got medium silver pleated dumbbell eyes, so it sinks pretty fast. It's my first time with Jim. Chance to get out there and paddle and fish with him and see somebody doing something in their own element. Like a lot of guys would be kind of maybe a little intimidated about the water. Like it was definitely something I'm not used to from Arkansas. We don't get a lot of like them high swells, but Jim makes you feel comfortable, and he's passing on a lot of advice. Like, you know, try trolling with this, try trolling with that. And definitely one of those guys who loves doing what he's doing.
We're here 56 miles away from the U.S., the closest point of the Bahamas to the U.S. We have 72 units. It's a full-service resort with spa, gym, 2 restaurants, a full-service marina with fuel and 62 slips that we're able to accommodate up to a 120-foot vessel.
You go down these beautiful streets, and then you enter this storybook village with all these different painted, colorful houses and all of these amazing greens and flowers, and the landscape is beautiful. It's heaven on earth on the flats.
The amenities here are beyond belief. I mean, the rooms are beautiful, beautiful swimming pool. They have great food, absolutely amazing food, and super friendly staff. It's been a real cool place to hang out for a week.
One of the great things about this area is it's a very well protected area on the water, which makes it a nice pristine place to go out on the kayak and have a great day fishing.
Well, we got a little bit of a break in the weather, so we figured we'd come offshore, see if we could troll around. There's some wahoo, dorado, that sort of thing out here. It's kind of spotty. It's very mixed up, rough conditions out here, so we're gonna give it a go for a little while. If it calms down, we'll stick it out, but if it gets any worse, we're not gonna be able to hang out here very long. So give it our best shot for as long as we can, and then maybe move back to the inside, some shallow water structure.
We get out there and we drop some baits back. We've got some ballyhoo kind of rigged out back, but we're paddling around and we can see birds starting to die. We can see just the surface is, you know, disturbed. There's fish jumping out of the water, just going crazy on bait. So we're paddling our freaking butts off, trying to get on these fish where we can make casts.
Come on. Come on. Saw some birds kind of looking around and saw a little splash under them, so we started moving towards them, and then off to the side we saw a bigger school of fish jumping around. Oh! It's beautiful. A little skippy or bonita, whatever they want to call them here. Oh! We were letting him go anyway. They're so spastic. But I saw those, so I grabbed a little flat fall. I saw they were chasing little soweries, real small bait, so I tossed out the flat fall. It immediately just got whacked. Good fun. Now where'd they go? The problem, these fish move so fast. Oh no, they're out in front of Jameson still. So nothing big, but you never know. Something that wants to eat them might be around too. So we'll kind of stick with that school for a little bit. But like I said, they do move fast.
These skipjacks, basically small tuna, are just coming out of the water and just crushing bait. But they're hitting really, really small baits. I've got a chatterbait tied on. Jim has another bait tied on, a casting iron. And so we just start casting in there, hoping we're gonna get hit. And finally we were able to connect and get a couple of fish to the boat. These things are built for speed. They are so fast and they are so powerful, even though, you know, they're not that big of a species when it comes to tuna. You know, I've spent some time fishing for the yellowfin with Jim, and that's just a whole nother level. But on light tackle, these dudes are just amazing to catch. On the chatterbait.
So as soon as you hook one, the whole school bolts.
Fishing with Jim is always just a blast. Like, we have a great time wherever we are. I mean, we figure it out, we have fun, we decide to head in, anchor up, and put a chum line out. So I'm sitting beside the boat, I drop a bait back, and next thing I know, my rod is almost ripped completely out of the kayak. I know it's something big, and in this clear water, I finally get over the fish, and I realize I have this giant nurse shark.
Jameson hooked into a nice sized shark, taking him for a ride. Well, and the main thing here is just taking your time. A fish like this, because it's so big and powerful and it's very close to the kayak already, could easily break his line or break his rod if it made a really quick sudden move underneath the kayak or anything. So it's just really important to make sure that you keep the rod tip down, keep that thing low so it doesn't go yanking you over.
Once I got her head up, got a little touch on the fin, I counted that as a catch. I want to get it close to the kayak so we can reach out and cut the line as close to its mouth so we don't leave that trash, that leader material out there, because that hook is going to rust right out of its mouth and be gone in no time. It's just a powerful fish. Not a fast fish, but you could tell how strong, just would have pulled the kayak forever if we hadn't cut it off.
There she goes. Boom. That's why I always carry a cutaway tool. It makes it so easy just to reach out there and hook the line and cut it. You don't have to try and deal with pliers or anything like that. So always carry one of these in my PFD when we're out in the ocean, because you never know what you might hook into. Nice, Jameson. Woo! Started off kind of rough and it just laid down, turned into an absolutely gorgeous day. Caught some fish in some of the most beautiful water I think I've ever been in. Got another day to fish. Stick around. I think it's gonna get good. So whenever we come to destinations that we know are sharky, I mean, for instance, Jameson just caught a big shark. We saw some video from some of the locals the other day that they caught a huge tiger shark. Whenever I'm coming to a destination like that, I always bring my Ocean Guardian Shark Shield. This thing is absolutely amazing. I've seen firsthand it working, driving off sharks. And for me, the main thing is not losing my catch. I don't need a shark coming up to the side of my kayak and try and grab a fish while I'm trying to land it. That's when I could run into trouble, particularly when you guys always see me doing this. So, real easy to use. It's made for divers, so you can actually put it around your ankle, but I just put it on the handle on the side of the kayak, and it can just hang there. When I hook a fish, I just turn it on. I don't leave it on all day. Some guys I know who live in very, very sharky waters, Northern California, a lot of white sharks, they take them out, they leave that thing on all day. And there's videos out there of this thing actually stopping a charging white shark. So there is scientific proof of these working, and I'm a strong believer. So check them out. That's Ocean Guardian, powered by Shark Shield. Fishing with James Macbeth. if you don't catch anything, which we didn't, you know you're gonna laugh. He keeps you entertained, and you know he's gonna screw up something, but it's always in good fun. That is a clean bite, sliced, just sliced right in two. Crazy.
It's kind of like, so it's over, the way you'll remember it is like over the ears, under the nose, back through the ears, and away she goes. I tie my shoes the same way. Probably pretty good for this, right? Well, you know, it's hair and makeup. Today's a tough day for that because the wind's gonna just blow all this work away. But I can make up for it by, no pun intended, by having some good makeup. I got eyeliner today, a little mascara.
And he's a great paddler, so if you're gonna go out there and put in miles and in challenging conditions and rough seas and wind and all that, he's your guy because he can handle paddling in those conditions.
100% of the reason why I get into a kayak and go out there. It's those long hours on the water, going by shorelines I've never seen before, experiencing the waves, the winds, the tides. It's just me and the water.
Tell me a bit about
Wait, I haven't finished my pause.
I'm sorry.
Well, we challenged ourselves to get live bait this morning, and that took a while. And then, of course, by the time we got out here and started trolling, the wind came up a little bit. It was still very doable, but of course that always makes things tough. So still had fun. Absolutely such a beautiful location, some of the most beautiful water you'd ever want to be in. So it was a fun day.
Coming to Old Bahama Bay, I really didn't know what to expect. So I kind of brought a little bit of everything. I brought light tackle, fly rods, big game stuff. But you know what? What should be left behind is your worries, your everyday cares, your cell phone, your social media. You come here, you unplug, and you just have a good time.
This was my first time using the Liska, and for anybody who doesn't know, the Liska kayak is named after our good friend Jan Liska, who I had the pleasure of fishing with a couple times in Sweden. And unfortunately he had lost his life, and Jackson Kayak just did one of the coolest things, and that was in his honor to name a kayak after him. He was all about getting people started in kayak fishing, so they basically made this a beginner's type kayak. But I got to use it the other day, and it was a real fun kayak to use. It was very light and lively, very responsive, yet very standable, super stable. It paddled really well. So all around, for somebody who's just getting into kayak fishing, the Liska is a pretty cool one to pick. So we've had a really good time down here at Old Bahama Bay with the crew from Jackson Kayak and Jen from Dun Magazine. We can't thank the folks here at Old Bahama Bay enough for their hospitality and putting up with us for this whole week. We have had an absolute ball. So if you want to come here and go kayak fishing, we have left 6 fishing kayaks here. So if you want to come here and go kayak fishing, they've got a fleet that'll dial you in. They've got the inshore boats, the flat boats for stand-up sight casting, and then they've got the offshore boats, a couple of Krakens. So if you can't go wrong by coming here if you want to go kayak fishing.